Now, if you're doing your bachelor's abroad, of course, it means that you may leave, if you don't have experience, you may leave home at about 17 or 18. That's exciting. You'll get to make international friends. You learn independence at an early age. You'll definitely grow culturally. So ask yourself honestly, at 18, are you really ready to move halfway across the world and aim to become independent that early? Should you do your bachelor's in India or New Zealand? Is it more useful to do your master's in India, or should it be from abroad? Now imagine this. You're standing at this crossroad. One side, India, affordable education. You've got your family close by. It's a very familiar environment. On the other side, you've got New Zealand, world-class universities, stunning landscapes. It's really a promise of international exposure. And then you have this other question, should I even go abroad for my bachelor's degree at all? Or is it smarter to wait, finish my undergrad here in India, and then pursue my master's abroad? And this is one of the most important decisions you make. I get lots and lots of questions from hundreds of my students asking exactly this. So we'll try and unpack this question today. This is not going to be any vague advice. We'll try and fill it with real practical comparisons. By the end of this video, I think you'll have a reasonable framework to decide whether going abroad is the right decision for you or staying back in India. Now, before we dive in, if you find this kind of in-depth guidance useful, do hit the like button, share this video with your friends who you think might benefit, and of course subscribe. You won't miss my future episodes on careers and education. Now let's compare bachelor's in India with bachelor's in New Zealand. In terms of education quality and teaching approach, now in India, bachelor's programs, especially engineering, medicine, commerce, they're very rigorous. They're very theory-based. Some top institutions, IITs, NITs, DU colleges, etc. They have excellent academics, but of course the competition is brutal and the seats are limited. New Zealand offers a great alternative. The teaching there it's very student-centric. You'll find smaller class sizes. There's a lot more focus on projects, case studies. It's very applied learning. Now, for example, if an engineering student in India may spend a lot of time in lecture halls, over there you'll end up spending a lot of time in labs. You'll be doing a lot of industry-linked projects over there. Let's talk about costs and ROI. Now, in India, a bachelor's degree can cost anywhere between 1 to 5 lakhs per year, maybe at a good university. Even private ones, they may go up to 10 to 12 lakhs, but the living costs, they're far lower compared to abroad. If you choose New Zealand, the tuition fees, especially for international students, it averages between 20,000 New Zealand dollars to 30,000 New Zealand dollars. That's about 10 to 15 lakhs per year. On top of that, of course, there's living expenses, say about 7 to 10 lakhs. That includes your rent and other costs. So you can see that the difference, it's a huge financial leap. Now, of course, if you do plan to study abroad, you can get education loans. There's a lot of scholarships available. It can really reduce the heavy burden. You may even choose to do some part-time work overseas or internship. This will all sort of offset some of your costs. In terms of long-term career outcomes, now a bachelor's in India, of course, it is very well recognized locally. So if your plan is to stay in India or you want to attempt for UPSC, CAT, or something similar, it makes sense for you to do your undergrad here. If you chose to do your bachelor's in New Zealand, that can open doors globally. It's recognized across countries, not just New Zealand. Countries like Australia, UK, Canada, they really recognize degrees from New Zealand. Of course, there is the added benefit of getting a post-study work permit. Usually it's about 3 years if you complete a bachelor's degree. Now that gives you enough time to build reasonable work experience. You may even want to work towards your permanent residency over there. But remember, employers, they often value experience as much as degrees. So going abroad too early, it may mean that you're entering a new, competitive job market without sufficient work exposure. That's a risk that can really be overwhelming. Now let's talk about international exposure and cultural growth. Very, very important. Now, if you're doing your bachelor's abroad, of course, it means that you may leave, if you don't have experience, you may leave home at about 17 or 18. That's exciting. You'll get to make international friends. You'll learn independence at an early age. You'll definitely grow culturally. But this also, of course, means that you may have to deal with homesickness. There'll be pressure to manage everything yourself, from cooking to paying bills. And with all of that, you'll have to keep up academically. So there are some students who thrive in this environment, and there could be others who may feel crushed because of the way that they've been brought up and their lack of independence up till that stage. So ask yourself honestly, at 18, are you really ready to move halfway across the world and aim to become independent that early? Now let's shift to the postgraduate level. Now, master's programs in India, they are solid, in particular in some fields, especially if they're research-based or government-regulated ones like law or medicine. But there are other areas, like data science or AI or business analytics, even renewable energy. The cutting-edge courses, they really exist abroad. So in New Zealand and some other countries, you'll find that the industry-driven master's programs, they are updated constantly. This will include internships. The universities will have direct link with the companies. This makes the graduates a lot more job ready. In terms of recognition of degrees, if you do your master's in India, it's primarily recognized here. Of course, some global companies may value it, but many prefer international qualifications. A master's abroad carries a lot of weight worldwide. For example, if you do masters from New Zealand, it is going to be recognized not just there, but also in Australia, in Europe. This can significantly boost your profile. In particular, if you plan to work outside India. Talking about costs and of course ROI, that will matter to a lot of students. A master's in India, this could cost about 2 to 8 lakhs for the whole course. Affordable, yes. But then the salary jumps after Indian postgrad, they're not very high. If you do it abroad, a master's may cost say 15 to 25 lakhs. It depends on country, depends on the program. But here's the difference. You're older. You can do internships. You may have some experience. You'll find it easier to do part-time jobs, And of course, after graduation, your earning potential is a lot higher globally. I'll give you an example. Say, if you're a master's graduate in IT or even business analytics in New Zealand, you can earn somewhere between 60,000 to 75,000 New Zealand dollars annually. That's a lot higher than what you'd get if you were a fresh graduate. And that helps you repay your loans a lot faster as well. In terms of immigration and career pathways, now, doing a master's abroad, this increases your chances of permanent residency. Countries like New Zealand, they award a lot more PR points for higher qualifications. Of course, India, you won't have any immigration incentives with education. Your future here is going to be tied with competitive exams and very difficult job markets at times. Saying all of that, now let's not sugarcoat things. Of course, studying abroad comes with a lot of challenges, and you have to be aware of it, and you have to be prepared to handle them. Hidden costs could be one of them. You may have accounted for tuition fees and living expenses. What about the visa fees? What about your health insurance? If you choose to live in a city, the rent might be slightly higher. So you have to be aware, and these can be mitigated. I mean, you can choose to do part-time work over there and try and offset these costs. Of course, that option is there. The other issue could be the competition. Now, you are going to compete with local students over there, and of course the other international students. You will need a solid strategy, a great plan to get an edge over the competition. You'll have to work hard. There are no shortcuts. There may be certain uncertainties. The visa rules and job markets abroad sometimes change. You have to be ready. You have to be adaptable. Culturally, there may be a lot of adjustment that may be required. Some students feel the culture shock. There's also this pressure to perform academically. That can be tough for some. So while the brochure looks dreamy, I mean, the real life abroad is not always what I call Instagram perfect. Some of my students, they do feel quite driven. I mean, they like these challenges. They say that they feel motivated by them, and they're ready to take them on. So you have to identify if that's you. There's a lot of mental preparation that you have to do before you take this mega step. So here's me trying to simplify and give you a framework. Maybe this will help you decide. The first and the most important thing is your financial readiness. That's key. It could be through your family support, your parents sort of supporting financially. You could take education loans, they're widely available. And there's a lot of scholarship opportunities as well. Second, you have to look at your career goals. Do you really want to work in India long term? If that is your goal, then maybe an Indian bachelor's, even an Indian master's, that might be fine. There's no need to go abroad. But if your goal is global mobility, you want international career options, then maybe you can consider an Indian bachelor still to keep the cost low, and then try for a foreign master's degree. This could be an ideal balance. And then the third is your personality. What is your readiness? Are you independent? Are you adaptable? If you are, and that too at an early age, bachelor's abroad, that will suit you. Do you prefer a gradual transition? If that is the case, then maybe wait till masters. When you become a little more older, you have a little more experience, you're a little more confident, you may be able to handle the challenges there more efficiently. And of course, your field of study, that matters as well. Fields like IT, business engineering, creative arts, a master's abroad really adds huge value. If you're looking at localized careers, say law, government exams, family business, maybe studying in India makes more sense. So you have to consider all these factors. Should you do your bachelor's in India or New Zealand? Should you do your master's in India or abroad? Let's ask these questions again, and you would have figured that the answer really is that there is no single right answer. Here's the distilled wisdom. The bachelor's in India, master's abroad might be a smart pathway, financially, academically, career-wise. Bachelor's abroad makes sense if financially you're secure, and you definitely are looking for global exposure early, and more importantly, you're ready to get that independence as early as 18. Masters in India would make sense if you're pursuing a career that's rooted in Indian market. It could be government services or local law, right? So at the end of the day, think of it less as India versus New Zealand, but more as what path aligns with your goals, your finances, and your personality. You see, education, it's not just about where you study, it's about who you become in the process. So there you go. If you think this video helped you clarify your options, do hit the like button, share it with your friends, and do subscribe. And in the comments, please tell me, are you leaning towards doing your bachelor's in India, or are you thinking about New Zealand? And tell me why. Just remember, it's not just about the degree. It's about designing the future you want. All the best.